Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist discussion. We have a lot to get into here. This is not your typical video, though. This is requiring everyone to put on your detective hats. We are diving into the big question of where is Megan Boone on this show? What's going on with Elizabeth Keene?
She has been missing for 5 episodes now. It has been weeks that she has been gone. And at first I thought maybe it was just part of the story, and maybe it is. But it's very odd that one of the leads of the show is just missing in action for this long. So we decided that we were going to take all of your guys' theories, well, some of our own,
Yeah.
and see which ones add up and see if we can find any information on some of them, some, things on social media, see what we could figure out. These are not all just facts.
Yeah.
The stuff that we have found online is facts, it's online, but this is just our theories.
Coco is the one responsible for doing all of the research in this video, so if there are any issues, if you have any problems, they are her fault. This is what we call pawning off responsibility, everyone. See, she's just like, I'm over you guys now.
I am sorry for your luck,
Yeah,
sweetheart.
I know.
It is
Coco,
all your fault.
we can't help it that she was so obsessed with this question. She just had, information thrown about our place.
She would not stop talking about it.
No.
So the three of us, we all put on our detective caps, and here we are. We're going to share with you everything we found out.
All right, now Coco is over us. She's had enough now that we've thrown her under the bus. Well, anyway, if you guys do enjoy this deep dive, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more coverage coming, including review for Friday's episode. I think it's going to be a pretty big one. I don't think you're going to want to miss what we got to say about it.
All right.
Okay.
So here we go. The first theory of why she is missing, she has contracted the virus.
Yeah.
So I understand that would be a popular idea. It has hit everybody worldwide in some way, shape, form, or other. But recovery for the virus is typically 1 to 2 weeks. 3 if it is a really dire situation. She has been gone for 5 weeks, and it looks like she is not going to be coming up in this episode on Friday either. And the other thing is if she had this, they would likely have shut down production because that would mean that everyone would have been exposed. So they probably would have had to quarantine.
This is one of those things where I know we are talking all about it, but I'm sure this comment will continue to come up anytime we discuss Liz and she's not there. But the reality of it is that the writers, they do these episodes weeks before they start shooting them. So if Megan did contract the virus, they're not going to have time, a day or two before they start filming a new episode to go back and write her out, because if they write her out, she's the female lead of the show. Odds are she's probably in at least, 30 to 40% of the episode, if not more. They're not going to be able to just rewrite that much of an episode overnight and then hand it to the actors and get them out on set. Whatever it's going on here, it was planned. It's not something that was fly by night, not at all.
No. Okay, so the next theory is she's sick with something else. And anything is possible, but she did post a video of herself over on her Instagram 5 days ago where she seemed like she was in good health. She's posted a whole bunch of pictures of herself, 4 or 5 in the past 4 weeks, and that includes a picture of her outside building a snowman. Now, I'm from Canada. Yeah. I know snow really well. Built my fair share of snowmen over the years.
Yeah.
You typically need a lot of energy to be able to roll snow like that. Snow is heavy.
Yeah, as someone who has built one snowman in my entire life, I can tell you it did require a lot of work. I was doing some heavy breathing there by the end of it. I don't think this is what is going on. A lot of it's for the reasons we spelled out, like they would have to rewrite scripts once again at the last second. I don't think that is feasible. There just isn't any actual evidence that she hasn't been doing well. She seems fine from everything that we've seen on social media.
Okay, the next one is a very popular one
Yes.
as well, which is that she is pregnant again. And the thing is with her first pregnancy, she was hide it. And it would be very weird for her to not hide her first pregnancy, but then hide this one completely. Like, no one has talked about it. Like I said, she's got pictures up on her Instagram. She does not look like she is pregnant. I just don't see any signs that she's actually pregnant.
There's nothing really out there. And like Jess said, with their first pregnancy, she was reasonably public. I mean, everyone has their fair share of privacy, and of course she's entitled to it. And it's just a situation now where it would just be unusual for her to hide it for so long. Like, even if you made the argument that, okay, maybe she gave birth, like, after she filmed her last episode of the show, it would still have been many, many weeks since then. We still wouldn't have heard anything. Now, there were some people out there who were saying, oh, she did have her baby. There's a story online about it. I went and checked some of this. The story I think people are referencing is a People magazine article that is dated from this past December on Google. However, that article is actually about her welcoming her first baby, and just for some reason, People magazine updated that like years after the fact. So there's actually no evidence whatsoever that she has had another baby, and it's such a joyous thing. Like, I feel like people would be celebrating it to some extent if it's something she wanted out there. There's no evidence of this. It's plausible, but I don't see anything that's showing it's happening.
Okay, another theory is she has another project going on. And on IMDb, which is somewhat reliable, it's kind of sketchy. I mean, anybody can go on there and edit whatever they want. IMDb has her listed working on one episode of another series called The Underground Railroad. And it is, right now, it says that it is in post-production, which means that she wouldn't be doing anything on it right now. I think it's coming out in May. She wouldn't be filming that right now, and it looks like it wrapped up filming last fall.
Yeah, this seems like a project she actually did a good while ago, like maybe in one of her hiatuses between seasons. Like, if I remember reading this properly, I think the Underground Railroad started filming like all the way back in 2019, which seems like a totally different era now. And then it shut down for a long time last year because of the virus, and then they sort of finished it up. So there's no evidence that she is gone because of that at all. Is it another project that hasn't been announced? Possibly, but if you're a series regular on the show like The Blacklist, unless it is like the role of your lifetime and you're like begging the studio to do it, I don't see why they're gonna just be like, okay, take 5 episodes off in the middle of a season.
Yeah, she's under contract, so I just don't know why I just don't think that's it.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so there's another comment that we saw that she allegedly said to boycott NBC like last fall on her Twitter.
Yeah.
So the thing is that she hasn't had a Twitter account in 2 years. We know that it's been a while, but we decided to do the deep dive onto Google, figure out when it was taken down, and there was some posts on Reddit from fans when it went down 2 years ago, asking why her account went down.
Yeah, the timing of this just doesn't really make sense. I don't know what the original sort of theory here was in reference to. Maybe it was about her comments towards equity that were years ago, pertaining to, her presence on promotional posters and, equal pay in the workplace and all that other sort of stuff. But whatever is sort of being suggested here has been sort of augmented and twisted into something that doesn't really actually exist. Like you said, she didn't have Twitter last year.
No. Okay, so here's another theory. She is trying to get her contract renegotiated, and this one feels like it might have some legs. I mean, she has been very vocal in the past about that women should be paid the same as men, as they should be. Yeah. She has been on this show for 8 seasons now. I understand that James Spader is a massive star. I mean, I've been a fan of his since I was a teenager, watching Pretty in Pink. I love him. However, Megan Boone is now the lead of the show, and she has been for years now, and she has earned her place.
Yeah, this is a situation, we've seen it with other shows in the past. I know Shameless and Emmy Rossum, she ended up getting pay equity at a certain point. I haven't heard anything about specifics pertaining to how much each person makes, but, contract negotiations to some extent, there could be something here. There could be something where, I mean, it's certainly possible where Megan just said before the season, oh, I will sign on, but I only want to do this many episodes. This may have been planned in advance, and it's hard to say exactly what her reasoning could be. It could be because of equity. It could be because of something just totally different. Maybe she didn't want to do a full season this time around.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like, there's a lot of different stuff to think about there.
Yeah, and so that brings us into our next thing, that it could be cost reasons for NBC, and that maybe they only signed her on for a limited number of episodes to try to save costs.
This has happened a lot more, I think, as of late. Like, I don't remember this happening a lot years ago, but, you know, in NCIS, when Reeves was on the show, he was, like, called a fractional series regular. He was only in a percentage of the season. David McCallum, who plays Ducky, he's only in a certain part of it. NCIS LA. Like, there's a lot of examples of this right now. With that being said, it's a little bit unusual that a network in a studio would be like, okay, we're going to cut costs by reducing the amount of episodes for our leading woman, when I think you would probably cut episodes for maybe a couple of the supporting cast instead.
Yeah, for sure. That feels like the way that they would go about it. However, we did see that there was that very strange incident that happened with Castle years back, where they decided to try to cut the leading lady out of the show, even though the whole show's premise was around that relationship, and we all know how that ended.
Yeah, thank God that didn't end up happening.
Oh,
Maybe
my
she was
goodness.
like, okay, we're going to end the show instead of going down that road. So there's some, I guess, plausibility that it could be cost reasoning, but once again, if they're like cutting one of the leads out because of cost, I feel like, wouldn't someone say
weird.
something? I don't think people would be happy with this.
Yeah, unless it's the sort of the alternative cost reasoning, which is that showing Liz's side, well, then you'll have to bring in more cast and more guest stars and more, that it would be away from the normal cast. So, you know, that's going to be costly. It's going to be different locations. They've had a lot of locations this season that have been sort of in the same places.
This is actually what I think is the most plausible out of anything that we've talked about here, where maybe a part of it is creative in that they have everything with the task force. You have everything going on with Reddington and DEMBE. So to add, okay, here is Liz's story as well, that's a lot of balls to juggle in a single episode, and beyond all that, you can't have Liz by herself for, like, all of her storylines. You would have to hire the actor who played Skip, hire some other actors. You would end up having a pretty thick, just load of people that you have to pay, and that's a lot. There's a reference here that we saw in an interview with Deadline that Kevin Wade, who's the showrunner of Blue Bloods, was talking about Joe Hill, a character who showed up at the start of that season, and he just sort of laid out, listen, we have a lot of other mouths to feed. We have so much story that it's hard to continue to add other characters and not service the ones that we have, and maybe that's a part of it. They're building up suspense for a Liz return, but they're also like, we can't have like 20 actors in a given episode.
Okay, so here's another rumor, which is that James and Megan don't get along, and this is one that I just don't believe. She has said before on social media that she thinks that he's brilliant, and he is, but I mean, there hasn't really been indication that she doesn't get along with him. I mean, her talking about getting equal pay doesn't equal she doesn't like James. It just means she wants to be at the same level with him.
This is what I think about this theory. I think there's nothing.
Well,
there's nothing there. I have not heard any stories about James Spader's career where he's like some horrible person to work with. If James was terrible to work with, if people didn't get along with him, why would he continue to have huge jobs year after year after year? If you're a pain in the you-know-what, you go away. We don't see or hear you again.
Yeah, and I won't name names, but I'm sure you guys know of actors that used to be really big and all of a sudden they have disappeared, and the rumors circulate that they are very difficult to work with and nobody wants to deal with that. No matter how big you are, it eventually all comes around that people are sick and tired of it.
Yeah. That's just garbage. Let's just throw that away and not worry about that again.
Okay, so let's have a little bit of hope that
Okay.
maybe Megan is returning. Because, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not starting to get worried. If she's not in Friday's episode as well, and it's 6 weeks long, like, I am starting to get worried. It's a bit long now. But here's a little bit of hope. So she's posted a bunch of photos on Instagram about her hair, saying that she wants to have a change and sort of that idea. So maybe the absence is going to have a little bit to do with changing her look and coming back as sort of a new Liz. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that haven't liked where the Liz character has been going right now. So maybe she's going to come back renewed, new haircut. We've seen her hair change colors. She's been blonde. She's had the short bob. She's had the long brown hair. Maybe she's going to have black hair. She's going to come back with red hair. I mean, who knows?
I like kind of this idea because we've seen it with like Dark Emma Swan on Once Upon a Time or Evil Abed with the goatee on Community. Like I want to see what like evil Liz looks like when she gets
That was
like
a good pull.
Yeah, I listen, the darkest timeline may be coming here for Liz Keane. No, I really do think that this could be something that's going on. I still believe that she's not going anywhere. I still think there's a good chance she shows up in like the final couple minutes of Friday's episode, and then when we come back from the hiatus, we're gonna get like a full episode that's all about what she's up to. That way they don't have to like focus on the other storylines. They don't have like big cost concerns or anything else. This is the hill that I will die on, that they just don't want to service too many stories at once. They can't afford to service too many stories at once, so they're going to make up for lost time. I believe in it, and this is why nobody is saying anything, because they want to keep it a mystery.
Okay, so Megan's husband also made a post talking about her hair and changing her hair and stuff like that. So it sounds like that is coming regardless if she's coming back to the show or not. But he also hashtagged Liz Keane forever, and then he also hashtagged or like one more year. But it was posted before it was renewed. So it could have just been him saying, this is as much as we know right now. So at least for this year, Yeah,
I saw like some people a few months ago sort of saying, "Oh, this is gonna be Megan's last season if they don't do any more. If the show comes back." It's just I don't believe that until like they actually say that she's leaving after this season. Like you said, we didn't know the show was renewed. There might have been a plan at one point that this was gonna be the final season, and for whatever reason they extended it. It's all that is all speculation. That's all way too early to tell.
Okay, so one last reason why she just might be off the show, but she's going to be coming back, is the idea that Liz just wants to eliminate Reddington's control over her, and that's why the story has been written this way, because if he doesn't have access to her, we've seen him sort of spinning out of control.
That I think was the writers like deliberately pointing to all of us and being like, this is why this is happening. This is why you're not seeing Liz right now, because if Liz turns up and has a conversation with Reddington wins. Like, she doesn't want to talk to him directly. She doesn't want to be in the room with him, and that's why I think when we do see Liz and Reddington face off, and yes, I am saying when, not if, when we see this, it's going to be big and epic, and there's going to be a really darn good reason why it happens.
I hope that you are right. I am starting to feel a little more worried than I did. The first week I was like, okay. Second week, all right. Third week, okay. Fourth week, fifth week, sixth week. Now I'm starting to wonder what is going on. And I do see the comments of people who are happier that Liz is not on the show. I'm not one of those people. I feel that this show has always been about Liz and Reddington and the mystery between them. That has not been solved. It is happening since day one on this show. It is a huge part of this show.
Liz is probably one of the most polarizing characters on TV. And, we're not immune to all the comments of people saying that they like the show now, that they don't like Liz, all of that sort of stuff. And, you know, honestly, I do feel for Megan here and there because she's there trying to play this role, and the writers are making Liz do things that we are just have a proclivity to dislike. Like, we don't like seeing Reddington in peril.
No, but at the same time, you're not going to like everything that characters do on a show. And just because people don't like her or people are frustrated with her doesn't mean that she's still not an important part of this storyline. It doesn't actually change that at all.
In my delusional corner, which I have a lot of delusions in this corner, but one of them is that somehow Reddington and Liz are going to be able to patch this up again, and somehow they're going to move forward together. She's going to realize the truth that he was, to some extent, trying to help her all along.
Or that he had a bigger picture of, you know, bigger than him, bigger than Liz, something else that he had to keep this a secret. I think if there was a way for him to have told her what was going on, I think he would have. But because there is something way bigger than him going on, he's unable to, and there's no way to explain that to somebody.
There's a lot that we'll have to get through with all of this. Hopefully Liz will just come back soon so we all stop losing our minds over this.
Yes.
But let us know what you guys thought about this video in the comments. What theories are you buying the most? And of course, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe. And if you do want to support us more, we have our Patreon in the description. We do Q&As at the end of every month over there. We also have a store. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.